With satellite media tours, like you said, it's very, very lucrative. I've seen people not only do a SMT, but have their SMT being used again, and they didn't even have to do any work. Like they'll use it the next year because the messaging is the same. It's all about how you present yourself. Are you easy to work with?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Cash, the podcast where creativity meets cash flow. I'm your host, Nicole Sellers, and I'm here to help you unleash the superstar within and turn your creativity and charisma into a money-making machine. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a very lucrative opportunity for on-camera talent. It's called Satellite Media Tours. And today, we are welcoming Kyle Smith. He is an SMT expert from KEF Media right here in Atlanta. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Nicole, for having me.
I am so excited to talk about SMTs because it is such an industry that a lot of on-camera talent, they know nothing about it, and it can be very lucrative for them. So for those of our viewers and those listening who are not familiar with SMTs, can you share a little bit about what they are and why we as hosts need to know about them?
Whew. Okay, this is a question that I love because I love where it takes me back to. So in college, I studied PR, but I also minored in film, right? I love TV, I love movies, and I loved like broadcast. But I went to PR because that's what I wanted to do. So did the PR thing for a while, went to Vegas after I graduated, did PR there, and I came back to Atlanta and I was just sending my email or my resume out to so many PR firms, right? Just blasting it out to maybe probably 100 in the Southeast. I was just all over the place. So finally, a company, as you mentioned, KEF Media, contacted me and I went for an interview. And I'm thinking it's just a traditional PR firm and, this is a great start for me. But then I quickly realized that they were a PR firm with the twist, I say. And I always use the tagline, "We control what you watch on TV." And it always gets a reaction like, what does that mean? But, those kind of things are supposed to. It's good little elevator pitch. So I started in reporting. And I always say that everyone should start from one of the, not to say it's the bottom, but one of the most crucial parts of SMTs because those are the results. And I worked my way up. So I quickly found out that SMTs are basically a 5-hour press junket. And what I mean by that is, let's say we take, for example, I have this Roku remote. Say we take Roku as an example, and they have this new feature they want to feature where you could watch 5 different shows at once. I don't know who will want to do that, but just work with me. So they have like a lifestyle expert or somebody that they want to, present their rent, or they'll ask us, hey, do you guys have any? But we'll get to that later. And they'll have, what we'll do is we'll write what's called a media alert. It's not a press release, but a media alert for something that the producer of shows can quickly skim. And we write that media alert, pitching this idea to them, or this story where it's like, hey, we have this new feature and everything like that. But we always use what they call news you can use. So it's not just saying, hey, we have this great feature. We have to craft it in a way where it's informative and it gives other people tips of a sort, right?
Like it's relevant to either what's happening in the world or it's something useful.
Exactly. So what we do is instead of just saying Roku has this new feature, we'll talk about 5 things that you could do as a family on a Friday night. And what the lifestyle expert will go into are tips. Hey, you could have, a popcorn party and you could, make pretzels, or you can like build a fort. And they'll list all these things. And then somewhere in there, they will also mention, you could watch your favorite TV shows. And if you don't just want to watch one TV show, you can watch four. Roku has this new, and then they go into this whole spiel about Roku, bring it back, throw in their own tips, because it's always good as a lifestyle expert to have many tips and tricks that people could use. And whenever they ask, like, where can we go for more information, we'll always say, head to Roku.com.
Head to Roku. So we have a lot of lifestyle experts listening in right now. I get a ton of inquiries about satellite media tours from lifestyle experts. What is one of the things that really stands out to you when you are looking for that kind of talent? The storytelling skills, the story selling skills, their charisma, and all of those things put together. What is something that really stands out to you that keeps you calling the same lifestyle expert back?
I am currently building a talent roster, right, with the help of Nicole Sellers, of course. But what I tend to look for the most is flow. How well can you go from one product to the other, or one idea to the other, and like kind of segue things in. So flow is really, really important. And obviously, like if it's some type of, we do all these like tours, but sometimes they're localized information. So, if you could remember these, remember what city you're in, things like that, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But if you can have that like kind of discipline to remember where you are, and things like that.
Trying to really customize it to make it feel very personal to that local market.
Correct.
Because for those of them not familiar, satellite media tours, they can hit 25 markets in up to 5 hours.
Correct.
So you're essentially doing 2 to 5 minute live hits for up to 5 hours, we spoke about earlier. And this lifestyle expert is doing really a pitch for 2 to 5 minutes for each of these local markets. And now they are hitting millions and millions of viewers and consumers, which is why this brand like a Roku is, hiring you to do that job. And I want to jump into budgets really quickly, because what's funny is when we work in TV and film, budgets are always a question, and there's always, a struggle of having a production budget. But this is a marketing budget. This is a lot differently, right? This is a different than a production budget. Mm-hmm. So they sometimes will have a lot more dollars to spend, ad dollars to spend on satellite media tours, which is why it can be a lucrative opportunity for on-camera talent. So can you run through some of the budgets that you see come through with some of these big brands?
Wow. So it depends, right? Some people actually have it's allocated for, hey, we'll give you this much for SMT. Some people, because we work with a lot of agencies, right? We do work brand to brand a lot, but we do work with a lot of agencies, and their particular budget is part of a bigger budget they were given. Mm-hmm. Right? So you may have a PR firm that was given $100,000 budget, mm-hmm. or $200,000 budget, and they're just giving a portion of that to us to basically perform what we do. And then they still are taking that for them, for whether it's other things like activations, whatever the case. So
right. But think about the ROI on that, because you're hitting millions and millions of people in 5 hours. I mean, that is money well spent.
Right.
And I think that what a lot of brands, if they are listening in, need to know is this is a one-stop shop. This is an opportunity to get your brand seen by millions of people in 2 to 5 minutes, because you're going on local morning shows, right? That's typically where you're hitting. Mm-hmm. So can you kind of simulate, in a sense, of like what that looks like on a local morning show? So let's say it's like Good Day Atlanta, or like a local channel that you're working with. How does that work with the news stations?
So we usually do lifestyle shows, like you mentioned, Good Day Atlanta, or they have Atlanta and Company. So we usually do lifestyle shows, and then we pitch to lifestyle shows the most, right? But also, I wanted to point out, we also do radio. So radio, you mentioned 2 to 5 minutes, and those are usually the average time of TV interviews. But for radio, one of the things we look for is how conversational are you? Because
Hmm.
radio tends to be a lot longer. Not a lot, but maybe I would say about 5 to 7 minutes, right?
And a lot more descriptive because
A
you're
lot more.
not able to show the product. You have to really be good at explaining what, envisioning this product and how it works.
And radio hosts tend to like to talk a little more,
Hmm.
and they bring in personal anecdotes of, oh yeah, I remember when my grandkids were over, or I remember when my friend was over and we were trying to, and they'll bring you into personal stories. This is when like you being personal comes into play a little more, and how personal can you be without anybody seeing you, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
we do that, and then we do what's called an audio news release, which blasts out to, I think, this over 30 million, you know, like people or audiences, and this is all over radio. Then you have the SMT, so it's well over 30 million in audience numbers that you're getting, and it's well worth it. It really is. And everybody, I always tell everybody, everyone does it.
Yeah.
Anybody you could think of. I worked with the Home Depot. I worked with Lay's, Coca Cola, sports brands. I've been to a couple of Super Bowls where we worked with people. So everyone does it. I don't. I always tell people like any company you can think of. I've probably done out of all the big companies you could think of. I've probably done. Let's see, Amazon probably the most.
Wow. Can you walk us through what that looks like with Amazon?
It's fun. So I did one. This was at the height of COVID. I did one like a facility in Seattle. They're like big facility, and we were talking about like how to navigate everything that's going on right now, and just to walk through and watch how Amazon works. It's amazing, and we were there. It was so loud, and it was great. I loved it. But one of the best things is on set location to me. Like studio is great, but when
Hmm.
you're like, especially travel, I love travel ones. If you're like on set and you have these conveyor belts just going, with packages and stuff, like it was really good. But we have to do what's called a site survey the day
Okay.
before, see, okay, where are we gonna go? Usually take your cameraman, like, okay, we want to set up here. We check the Wi-Fi. It's very important. They still, it's COVID changed a lot. So we used to bring a satellite truck, right? And they have like they're looking to see when a survey, they're looking to see, okay, where can I set up where I'm, sending a signal to the bird, which is, the satellite in the sky, and where can I run cables, and is the internet speed, the upload speed and download speed is enough. So we're doing all these things before the day before, right? So once we're like, okay, client is good, we're good, talent's good, we wake up very, very early in the morning,
Hmm.
and we set up,
Yeah, you've seen the evolution over the decades. And what's so wild to me is that, traditionally you would be in set up in a studio, like you said, with a satellite truck. Now you're going on location.
yeah.
What does that look like when you're traveling around? What is the setup that you have?
So we usually have, like I said, we have the cameraman, we have our lights, we have what's called an IFB. You put in the ear, and that's usually the what's called a phone producer will be in the truck telling you, okay, Nicole, we are going to Atlanta for 5 minutes, talking with Chelsea and Kathy, right? So when people see these interviews live, like, hi, Chelsea and Class, and like, oh, how'd she know? They've been talking for minutes, probably,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And then, sometimes when it's localized anyway, we have the stats ready for the talents on each hit, and they'll say like, you're in Baltimore, 46% of workers, and they'll ramble off these stats, and we have to be prepared for all of that. We have to be prepared for, we have to give our talents breaks.
Hmm.
You are doing these days, we try to do 10-minute blocks, right? But you're doing back to back to back to back interviews. Some of them are live, some of them what we call live to tape, where I'll
Hmm.
air later on, whether it's next week, tomorrow, whatever the case. But we still treat everything as live TV. We can't have a talent say, "Oh, make sure you go to Fire Stick. Oops, I mean Roku. Nope,
Right.
we
Yeah.
can't do that. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to treat everything like it's live TV, and it's a good habit to get
Hmm.
into too. But yeah, the we do them from studios as well. So a phone producer will be talking to you from the control room, and we'll be watching you from the green room and saying, hey, and we give good feedback. Like
Yeah.
after you do an interview, hey, make sure that you say Roku/remote.com or
Hmm.
Roku.com
So
slash
the producer is feeding you that extra
absolutely.
information for reaching out or going to the website or where to go. All right, if you are loving this conversation and want to learn more about how to build a profitable brand and business as an on-camera personality, go to tvhostingacademy.com. I have all my coaching programs there, even our green room membership. And inside that membership, we meet twice a month, once for small group coaching and a second time with an industry expert who will be teaching a masterclass on a variety of different topics in the media industry. So go to tvhostingacademy.com, click on the Green Room membership, and we'll see you there. Back to the conversation. And just thinking about the talent pool that we have listening right now,
Mm-hmm.
live stream sellers would be incredible for this because they are so used to the stamina and talking for really long periods of time,
Mm-hmm.
keeping up that energy for really long periods of time. So for those of you listening who are live stream sellers or lifestyle experts who are used to hours upon end being on live television, this is a really great opportunity to break into it. And what I find so funny and fascinating is that SMTs have been around for like over 3 decades and nobody really knew the details about how to break in. And I do find that there are some gatekeepers out there that are in it, but they don't really want to say how they got into it because it's such an incredible opportunity. But there are not that many SMT vendors out there across the country. During my research, over the past year and a half, it's wild to me that there's only a handful of SMT vendors that really offer this. And I think it's so worth it for on-camera talent to do their research. Obviously, KEF Media is one of them, but to do their research on SMT vendors local to them. But because everything is now virtual and there are so many more opportunities, reach out to everybody across the country. Send your materials. What are some of the materials that you tend, so now that you are building up your roster, and of course, I love to send you people as they
Right.
come into me and Nicole Sellers Casting. But what are some of the on-camera talent that you receive their materials and it makes it really easy for you to say yes? What are some of those materials?
So number one, first and foremost, your reel, your highlight reel. That is probably
And may I say, not a theatrical reel, not a commercial reel. This needs to be either a live selling reel or a hosting reel, correct?
correct. That is absolutely correct. Yes, we need a reel. It's a very quick way to see, okay, let's see how they do with talking one-on-one with a anchor. Let's see how they do with how they display things. Let's see how they segue. And it's very quick, it's very easy because we're very busy too. So I actually was talking to a friend not too long ago about this. If I have to dig for your information,
Hmm.
I have a lot of people that are reaching out about this.
Yeah,
A lot
you're like moving
of
on. Hmm.
yeah, and it's kind of like anything. You want everything to be right there in one email. Your rate, whatever your rate is, and I have a lot of people, Nicole, that ask me, "Oh, what rates do you guys give?" It is absolutely not up to us because we're not the ones that pay you.
Hmm.
No,
Okay, let's go over that again because I think that a lot of talent, they don't realize what they're worth in the sense of what is the earning potential that will not make them lose the job or sound too, crazy with their rates. But honestly, they are doing such a service with their talent and they are selling to millions of consumers that their rate is well worth it. So what is the range at least that you can say that you've seen come in?
well, it's a little different for everyone, right?
Hmm.
And I must say, we work with doctors, when we're doing pharma SMTs, and we also work with like celebrities and travel experts and the whole list. So I've seen some very, very, very high
And when you say high, do we mean 10,000, 15,000?
So I will say this. I have seen six digits, but this is celebrities, right?
Celebrities, right?
We worked with Mario Lopez, Kevin Hart, a whole bunch of Jerome Bettis, so many celebrities.
So
But
you have
I'd
to be
say,
realistic with, of course,
yes,
your
abs-
influence and your expertise and your experience. Okay.
absolutely. We know you think the world of yourself, and we're glad that you do. But you have to be realistic. And I say that because I can't give you the range I usually typically see is under 50K for like lifestyle experts and things like that. But I know it's hard because you want to remain competitive, right?
Hmm.
You don't want to come in too high or anything like that. But
Well, after this podcast, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be getting flooded with
no,
submissions.
I need it. I need it. But it's difficult to say. But when I say that we don't pay you, of course we do send you the money. Not say we're stiff.
But it's coming from the
It's
brand's budget.
the brand tells us their budget,
Hmm.
and you have to either meet that budget, and we'll send them different people. And we usually send like an Excel sheet or something like that. Like, hey, this is who we have. This is their range. And they'll usually say yes or no. I've never seen a brand negotiate with anybody. Like if
It's
that's
either
your
yes or no. And they have to love this talent so much where they believe 100% that they will see a return on their investment.
absolutely.
So your materials need to be spot on. If you do not have a live selling reel or a hosting reel, create something
Mhm.
that really simulates the SMT experience. Try to be as close to that experience as possible so they don't have to try to visualize what you will be on set. They can see it firsthand.
Because
So create something yourself, and also obviously your live TV experience, a headshot, a brief bio on you and your experience with live sales, live TV sales. Because for someone like me who takes submissions, and Kyle as well, make it really easy for us. Why should we choose you over another on camera talent? What makes you stand out? Do you have a lot of influence? Do you have a lot of followers? Have you been doing this for 10 to 15 years for big brands like, Cuisinart or Home Depot or whatever? You have to be able to separate yourself from the masses.
right, right,
Hmm.
yeah, and you got to think if I barely have the time to go search and things like that. You got to think about Amazon and us sending, whoever over there. They're really not going to have the time. So everything needs to be laid out right there. You mentioned having a bio. That's extremely important because, we have some people that say in their bio they used to be teachers. Oh, well, this is what we're selling as teachers. So now they know that you're a former teacher. We could use that in the media
Yes.
work.
Oh, 100%. There is a free download actually on tvhostingacademy.com. It's called Craft Your Killer Bio. I created this over 2 years ago because of this exact reason, because people were getting turned away for really great opportunities because they didn't know how to sell themselves or pitch themselves or include relevant information with, the project that they're going out for. So like you said, a teacher, yeah, it might not mean something for a beauty brand, but if you're doing an SMT on educational tools or tips, of course, you having teaching experience is going to separate you from somebody who does not have that experience. So
Absolutely.
take that time to download that free downloadable PDF on tvhostingacademy.com. It's called Craft Your Killer Bio. That's going to help you really condense all of your experiences into one bio and make it easy for someone like Kyle or myself or Amazon to really see what makes you stand out. Talk to me about Amazon, not just Amazon, but on camera hosts pitching themselves to brands. So they, of course, will submit to casting like me or to SMT vendors like you. But can they reach out to brands specifically like an Amazon? And if so, what is the contact person that you would really be reaching out to with that information?
I'm gonna say this. Yes, you could absolutely reach out to Amazon, but I would recommend reaching out to different PR companies. Because
Okay.
think about it like this. Amazon is a great brand. Don't get me wrong, this is a great brand. But wouldn't you want to reach out to somebody that represents Amazon, Roku, and because now you're opening yourself up to so many different opportunities, right?
Great
It's
point. Yeah.
it's great to reach out to just one brand, but when you reach out to a brand that owns 10 different accounts,
Brilliant.
now you have different opportunities to, if it doesn't work out with Amazon, but I have this Roku opportunity. Or if it doesn't work out with, Coke, I also have, this the Sprite opportunity that's coming up or something like that. So I always tell people, it is great to reach out to the brand, and there are brands that are like maybe like smaller, and they're always open to people, because what we do sometimes is a brand will come to us with a lifestyle expert already because you have that relationship. So it's absolutely important. But when you're reaching out to like us, or you're reaching out to like a Fast Horse or Ogilvy or somebody like that, if you're reaching out to those people, oh wow, they have over 100 accounts, and you will probably fit into one of those.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The chances are a lot better to reach out to those PR
Right.
companies. So do your research
Yes.
on those PR companies. And as we start to wrap up, is there any advice that you can give to those listening who are on camera talent trying to break into this space? Is there anything that you want to leave them with today?
Absolutely. With satellite media tours, like you said, it's very, very lucrative. I've seen people not only do a SMT, but have their SMT being used again, and they didn't even have to do any work. Like they'll use it the next year because the messaging is the same. It's all about how you present yourself. Are you easy to work with? You have to be easy to work with and willing to take, we forgot to mention this, willing to take constructive criticism. Brands,
Yes.
brands,
Oh, yes.
brands look at that, like when you'll do rehearsal and, go over messaging points with them well before the SMT even takes place. You have to be able to, oh, okay, I could say this. And they, people take note of something that you can creatively put in there to make it more you and aligns with their brand. So,
Yes.
just be you,
And be easy to work with. I
Yeah.
mean, that just goes so far, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And you guys, Kyle has so much great information to share. He's been doing this a really long time. He's actually going to be hosting one of our industry expert master classes for TV Hosting Academy's Green Room. I'm so excited for that one because I'm going to ask you a million questions.
Good.
And I know that you are going to be extremely, extremely popular with a lot of our members. So thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing your wisdom on SMTs. And we will see you all next time. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.